The film begins by introducing a man named Takeo Goda, who has just graduated from his junior high school. Takeo has a large body, standing 2 meters tall and weighing over 100 kilograms despite his large build. Takeo is a very loyal friend and does not like to bother those who are smaller than him, which is why he has many friends. It turns out that at his school, Takeo likes a female student, but the girl he likes is already in love with his friend, Makoto Sanakawa, who is very handsome and an idol at the school, making many girls fond of him. At that time, a girl is seen confessing her love to Sanakawa, who is also the girl Takeo likes, but Sanakawa has no feelings for her, so he walks away. Eventually, the girl starts crying because her love was rejected so easily. Seeing this, Takeo feels sorry for her, so he calls Sanakawa to give his shirt button to her as a keepsake. Apparently, Takeo does this because he knows that the girl he likes only has feelings for Sanakawa. So he is willing to give his shirt button to Sanakawa because he prioritizes his friendship over himself. In reality, Takeo was going to give the button to the girl himself. It turns out that giving a shirt button is a tradition at that school. Every time they graduate, all the students exchange shirt buttons to keep as mementos. In addition, a shirt button can also be given to someone very special or to a friend while at school. Sometime later, Takeo has entered high school, and this time he is once again in the same class as Sanakawa, who has been his friend since childhood. Until one day, while they are on their way to school, Takeo suddenly hears a cry for help. While looking for the source of the sound, Takeo sees a boy who is about to drown. Without thinking twice, Takeo immediately runs and saves him. However, because of Takeo's large body and his face that looks intimidating, the boy becomes frightened. Furthermore, everyone who witnesses the event mistakenly thinks that Takeo is harming the boy, even though he is actually trying to help him. After the boy is successfully saved, Sanakawa comes to assist the boy, and at that moment, the boy's parents also arrive. Because Sanakawa is there, the boy's parents thank him instead. Sanakawa then tries to explain that it was Takeo who saved the boy, but the parents ignore Takeo, who is already soaked. When they arrived in class, the handsome Sanakawa became the center of attention for all the girls there. In contrast, all the women who saw Takeo became frightened. Because of this, after school, Takeo kept staring at Sanakawa's handsome face until he noticed a girl being harassed by a thug. Without a second thought, Takeo immediately helped her, but the thug became scared when he saw his terrifying face, so they quickly ran away. At the same time, the girl he helped also looked frightened, even to the point of shedding tears. Seeing this, Takeo immediately apologized because he did not intend to scare her. As Takeo started to walk home, the girl followed him and, despite being a little scared, she thanked him. Takeo, seeing the girl's face, felt embarrassed, and at that moment, he began to like her. It was revealed that the girl's name was Rinko Yamato, and she was in the same grade as Takeo, though they attended different schools. The next day, Rinko and her friends were seen waiting for Takeo after school. At that time, Takeo was walking home with Sanakawa, causing all of Rinko's friends to be mesmerized by Sanakawa's good looks. Additionally, Rinko's friends assumed that she was waiting for Sanakawa, even though she was actually there to see Takeo. After that, Rinko ran toward them, which made Takeo a bit scared because no girl had ever approached him before. Rinko quickly introduced herself, and Takeo also introduced Sanakawa. Rinko explained that she wanted to thank Takeo again for saving her, so she invited them to eat together. While eating, Takeo really enjoyed the cake Rinko made because he thought it was delicious. Rinko was delighted by the compliment, laughing with joy. Seeing this, Takeo suddenly leaned his face closer to Rinko's, causing her to be a little scared. Afterward, Rinko started asking if they had girlfriends, which made Takeo confused because he wasn't sure if the question was directed at him or at Sanakawa. At that moment, Takeo excused himself to go to the restroom because he realized that he was unattractive, and he concluded that the question must have been for Sanakawa since Takeo knew that every girl who saw his friend would fall in love. When Takeo returned, he saw that Rinko was already getting along well with Sanakawa, so Takeo told Rinko that Sanakawa didn't have a girlfriend, as he was sure that Rinko couldn't possibly like him. Takeo then asked Rinko to make more cakes while giving her his phone number so that she could contact him. Takeo also offered to help Rinko if she ever found herself in trouble again. The next day, they ate cake together again, with Takeo asking Rinko to exchange phone numbers with Sunakawa. It turned out that Takeo's intention was to bring the two of them closer together. From that day on, the three of them became close friends because they always ate cake together every day. One day, while they were eating cake together, Sunakawa excused himself to leave because they had run out of drinks, so Sunakawa intended to go buy more. After his friend left, Takeo felt awkward since he was now alone with Rinko. Fortunately, Rinko started a conversation, leading Takeo to share stories from his childhood with Sunakawa. Hearing these stories, Rinko felt very happy to see their strong friendship. Takeo then continued eating the cake made by Rinko and found one with a filling inside. Because of this, Rinko mentioned that she only made one cake with a filling, so she was happy that Takeo got it. At the same time, Sunakawa was secretly watching them, feeling pleased to see their growing closeness. As they were about to leave, Sunakawa received a message from Rinko saying that she would be watching Takeo's wrestling match. Sunakawa immediately informed Takeo about this, and Takeo had no objections if Rinko wanted to come and watch his match. The next day, Rinko and Sunakawa were seen watching Takeo's wrestling match. At that time, Takeo's school's wrestling team was on the verge of losing, but in the final round, Takeo managed to secure a victory. As a result, the entire audience started chanting his name. Along with him, Rinko and Sunakawa were also impressed by Takeo's skills. After the match, Rinko immediately approached Takeo and praised his abilities. At that moment, Takeo asked Rinko about Sunakawa's whereabouts, and she noticed that Sunakawa was surrounded by many women. Seeing this, Takeo wanted to approach them because he thought it might hurt Rinko. However, Rinko instead invited Takeo to eat together, which made him very happy, and he agreed right away. Unfortunately, Takeo brought up Sunakawa, saying that his friend would be a perfect match for Rinko, so they could be together without him, though in reality, Takeo felt sad. Because of this comment, Rinko became upset, thinking that Takeo didn't like her, and she began to cry. Seeing this, Takeo was confused about why she was crying, while Rinko tried to hide her feelings, pretending that something had gotten in her eye. Shortly after, Rinko said goodbye to go home while Takeo started to feel that he had hurt Rinko, so Takeo decided to chase after her. However, at that moment, Takeo saw Rinko with Sunakawa, so he chose to eat the cake that Rinko had given him earlier. On the other hand, Rinko began to confide in Sunakawa about her feelings, saying that she really liked Takeo, but she felt that her love was unrequited. Sunakawa then shared stories from his childhood, explaining that Takeo was a very good friend who would do anything for his friends. Because of this, Sunakawa assured her that Takeo couldn't possibly dislike her, unfortunately that Takeo didn't understand romantic relationships. Hearing this, Rinko began to understand and decided to continue pursuing her love, while trying to make Takeo fall in love with her. Not long after, while at home, Takeo received a message from Rinko apologizing. At the same time, Takeo's mother also noticed that her son was getting close to Rinko. Because of this, Takeo explained to his mother that he wasn't actually close to Rinko. However, Takeo still praised the food Rinko made, which made her happy because Takeo liked her cooking. The next day, Rinko once again made food for Takeo and invited him to eat together. But this time, Takeo declined because he had extracurricular activities at school and suggested that she go out with Sunakawa instead. Rinko felt sad after reading the message, so she confided in her classmates. All of Rinko's friends assumed that the man named Takeo was actually Sunakawa. At the same time, Rinko was also unaware of this misunderstanding because she hadn't yet introduced Takeo to her friends. The next day, Rinko introduced Takeo to her classmates. However, her friends were puzzled because the man she liked did not have a handsome face. At the same time, Sunakawa was also there, and all of Rinko's friends immediately turned their attention to him. Eventually, Rinko introduced Sunakawa to them as well, and her friends quickly flocked around him. The other female classmates who were there ignored Takeo and Sunakawa's male friends, as they all naturally gravitated towards Sunakawa. Meanwhile, Takeo knew that Sunakawa and Rinko were not dating, so he continued trying to match them together. Sometime later, they were seen playing at an amusement park, and Takeo insisted that Sunakawa sit next to Rinko. This made Rinko sad again because she felt she couldn't make Takeo like her. Not long after, Takeo overheard Rinko's friends talking badly about him. They were saying that Takeo was not good enough for her and that she would be better off with Sunakawa. Just then, Rinko suddenly appeared behind her friends and immediately defended Takeo. At that moment, Rinko also seemed sad, but in reality, her friends hadn't intended to speak poorly of Takeo. Hearing this, Takeo felt happy and realized that Rinko was a very kind person. So, Takeo started chatting with Sunakawa again, reminding his friend not to make Rinko cry. As Sunakawa was about to explain the truth to his friend, Takeo suddenly smelled something burning. It turned out that the place they were in had caught fire, trapping all of their friends inside. Without hesitation, Takeo broke down the wall to rescue them. All of his friends managed to escape, but as Rinko was about to leave, a coffin behind her suddenly fell. Luckily, Takeo held it back and urged Sunakawa and Rinko to get out quickly. They all managed to escape, but Takeo was still inside. Sunakawa intended to go back in to save Takeo. Unfortunately, he was stopped by the firefighters on the scene because the fire had spread everywhere. Knowing that Takeo was still inside, Rinko immediately rushed back in to save him. When Takeo saw Rinko by his side, he gained strength, and they both managed to get out of the place together. After everyone was safe, Sunakawa and Takeo started talking again. At that moment, Sunakawa revealed the truth, that all the women who had liked him had always said bad things about Takeo. These women often remarked that Takeo had a face like an old man, and some even said that Takeo looked like a gorilla, but Rinko was different. Shortly after, Takeo also met the female friend he liked back in school. Unfortunately, she still liked Sunakawa. At the same time, Rinko arrived intending to give Takeo his clothes, but she was surprised to see Takeo with another woman. Despite this, Rinko still approached them. The female friend assumed that Rinko was Takeo's girlfriend, which made Rinko happy because someone thought she was Takeo's girlfriend. However, Takeo denied it, and Rinko became sad again but continued to hide her sadness. One day, Rinko became frustrated because she kept thinking about Takeo. Her friends then encouraged her, and they also found out that the woman with Takeo was an old friend of his. Knowing this, Rinko asked Takeo out again, and this time, Takeo gathered the courage to meet her. Before meeting Rinko, Takeo sought his mother's blessing, even though his mother always encouraged him to date her. When Takeo finally met Rinko, he became panicked because Rinko looked very beautiful. Rinko then invited Takeo to go shopping because she planned to surprise Sunakawa, but only Takeo knew everything about the surprise. Sometime later, they went to give the gift to Sunakawa, and Rinko was very happy to be spending time alone with Takeo, but she became distressed again when she realized that Takeo liked another woman, even though that woman was actually her. Before they parted ways, Rinko asked Takeo to confide in her about the woman he liked, as she believed that Takeo had feelings for someone else. Unfortunately, Takeo only saw Rinko as a friend because he thought she could never like a man as unattractive as him. As the result, Rinko became sad again because of this statement and left in tears. Not long after, Takeo went to Sunakawa's house and told him that Rinko really liked him. Unfortunately, Sunakawa didn't get a chance to talk to him before Takeo left. In reality, Takeo felt very sad because he was truly confused about whether to choose friendship or love, even though they were simply misunderstanding each other. The next day, Takeo went back to Sunakawa's house because he hadn't met Rinko, who had prepared a birthday gift for him. At that time, Sunakawa decided to stay home and read a book instead. Takeo became frustrated by this, but Sunakawa still refused to meet Rinko, using the excuse that his leg was hurting. Therefore, Sunakawa asked Takeo to go meet her, so he quickly rushed to find her. At that moment, Sunakawa also sent a message to Takeo about Rinko's whereabouts. Initially, Takeo became confused because every shop he visited knew all about him from what Rinko had told them. Takeo even went to the place where his mother worked to look for Rinko, and he was surprised to learn that his mother also knew her. His mother then explained that Rinko had come there to find out what foods Takeo liked. Additionally, at another shop Takeo visited, they also knew Rinko because she had come there to learn how to bake a cake. From this, Takeo began to realize that Rinko had truly liked him all along. Feeling very guilty for taking her for granted, Takeo ran off to find Rinko. At the same time, Rinko also felt that Takeo was looking for her, so she hurried to meet him. Not long after, they finally met, and Takeo started to confess his feelings to Rinko. Although Takeo didn't express it romantically, Rinko also confessed her feelings. Finally, they started dating and decided to celebrate Sunakawa's birthday together. At that moment, they looked very happy. Moral lesson from the story: even if you look like a grumpy giant, helping others might just get you a cake. And maybe a girlfriend too.